This episode was filmed in front of a live studio audience. Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'd like to sit back in my very squeaky chair, relax, and have a little conversation with all of you guys about Disney Lorcana, the TCG sensation that is sweeping pieces of the nation. The other day, a YouTuber by the name of The Real Cancer of YouTube 8174 posted a comment on one of my other videos asking me to cover Lorcana based on what I think they've done right and what I think they could work to improve. So in today's video, we are going to be sitting back and, just having a little conversation about Lorcana. I feel like it has been a while since I have covered the TCG and what I think about it overall. And before I get into this will just be a very simple pros and cons list. Good stuff about Lorcana, bad stuff about Lorcana. You guys know how it is. But I just want to stress before we begin, this is all just my opinion. I have played Lorcana. I do buy and sell Lorcana. But for the most part, this is just my opinions on the game. Nothing more, nothing too serious, nothing to freak out about. So, with all that in mind, put your pitchforks down, you Lorcana fans in the back. And, let's get started. So the first thing I want to mention about Lorcana, let's do the pros first and then the cons, a simple video. The first thing I want to say is that from a pure gameplay point, pure design point, everything about the game itself is pretty good. The first thing is the core design. The frames of the cards, the layouts of the mechanics on the card, the art direction for Lorcana, it's all very good. The cards are flashy, but not obstructively garish. The art direction is pretty solid, with most cards in the game sharing a very clear art direction that makes them all feel like they could happen feasibly within the same universe. And the more high-end rare cards in the game being quite flashy, quite showy, and very nice to look at. The foiling they chose was very nice. I like cold foils from Flesh and Blood. And I like cold foils in Lorcana, too. So that's all very well and good. I also want to say that I like the core gameplay of Lorcana quite a lot. You see, Lorcana is aimed at a younger audience, I would say. And it has gameplay that is both easy to get into and intuitive to learn. Especially like the resource and combat mechanics of Lorcana feel very samey to some other card games I've played, especially Magic the Gathering, for instance, or I don't want to say like Mega Man, but it does use the everything as a resource that Mega Man uses. Man, I love Mega Man so much. But this is not a Mega Man video. This is a Lorcana video. So I just want to say that the gameplay itself is it's easy to get into. It's a very easy game to teach to someone. It's fun and intuitive, so that's a plus as well. Right out the gate, Lorcana had collector's appeal with the enchanted rare cards with beautiful showcase arts from the very first set, which did do a lot to ingrain some people in the collecting aspect of the game. What collecting aspect there was, and we'll get to that in just a second. Don't you worry your little butt off. And the final thing that I really want to talk about in terms of the pros is Lorcana really does a great job at showcasing Disney properties that don't otherwise get a lot of love. Some things that come to mind is Atlantis, the Lost Empire, Treasure Planet, Gargoyles. Gargoyles is a big one. I was super excited about the Gargoyles cards in the most recent set. Disney has a huge catalog of films and franchises under their belt. Some, like the Disney Princess line and Mickey Mouse and his gaggle of friends, they get a lot of love from the company over the last 100 years. Disney is a very old company. Some franchises get a lot of love. Others seem like they're forgotten more often than not. And that can be for a few reasons, and I'm not going to go into the intricacies of why Disney might not want you to talk about Songs of the South, for instance. That's not the kind of video I want to do on this channel, but the fact that Lorcana does give some attention to things like, again, gargoyles, which is one of my favorite cartoons from back in the day, some love, that's really great in my opinion. And I think the fact that Lorcana utilizes those IPs to the best of their ability really is one of the stronger points of the game. I can't stress that enough. So it's got really good art design, really good appeal. The cards look nice. The foiling is beautiful. The core gameplay is intuitive, easy to learn, very fun to play out with the two-color system going on for the decks. It's really good. And again, gargoyles. I like that a lot. But they're, as good as the game is, and it is a good game, just so we're clear, it does have some problems. The biggest one... Let's get the smallest one out of the way first, okay? This is only really a problem as far as I'm concerned because, again, I don't play the game a whole lot. I don't go to tournaments or anything, but I have played some of it. I've played it pre-releases and such. But I do want to say that not a whole lot of thought seems to be given to game balance when it comes to Lorcana. And this is not really a Lorcana thing so much as it is a smaller TCG kind of thing, because Lorcana is definitely a smaller TCG. But there does definitely appear to be kind of rigidity in terms of game balance and card design. And maybe it's just because I haven't looked at enough Lorcana cards, but I definitely felt when I was playing at events that Lorcana decks all kind of seemed similar. They all kind of looked like they included the same cards if they were the same colors. There wasn't a lot of uniqueness in certain deck archetypes. And I know that's not that's not a thing that's exclusive to Lorcana. Yu-Gi-Oh, for instance, has this in Droves where you feel like you have to include these 10 cards in your deck, and no matter what format you're playing, Magic has this for certain formats like Commander where you have to include a Soul Ring, but it did definitely stick out to me, that Lorcana definitely seemed a bit rigid in deck construction. It's not a real big problem, but it did just, occur to me. One that I definitely think is kind of a problem, but again, it's more of a byproduct of the game itself, is that Lorcana did not appear very interactive. And maybe this has changed since like pre-releases or whatever, but Lorcana very much seems like a game where you do what you want to do on your turn, and your opponent does what they want to do on their turn, and there's not a whole lot of back and forth interaction. And again, my experience with the game is not huge. I have to keep reiterating that just so that nobody over there types out a comment, "Oh, Uncle Frank, you don't play the game, obviously, because there's actually loads of interaction," but I just haven't experienced it. But the actual big problem, and this is the thing that I think is actually going to hurt Lorcana, because, balance, that can be fixed in later sets. Interaction, that can be fixed very easily in later sets. But an actual problem the game has is Ravensburger themselves seem absolutely determined to crush secondary market values of Lorcana. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? It's the simple fact that Ravensburger is really dedicated to this idea of printing the game into the ground. We are now, 2 years? It almost feels like, no, over a year. But we had this conversation. It's been 2 years, right? Whispers in the Well is set 11? I had a whole timeline ready. Whatever, doesn't matter. We are several sets into the game, and the first set, the first chapter, is still getting reprints in 2025. Older sets have been printed in absolutely absurd numbers to the point where some people aren't even willing to touch the sealed booster boxes. And from what it looks like going forward, it looks like Ravensburger is determined, dedicated, in fact, to the idea of making their products explosively available to retailers, stores, and players alike. Now, that is a good thing. Accessibility is a good thing. But we've talked about this before. TCGs have a scarcity by nature built into them. Any kind of collectible has to have some sort of perceived collectability to it. And even in a game that has extremely rare cards, like those enchanted cards that we talked about a bit ago, if the game itself is just being printed into the ground, if there's so many cases and boxes and packs available, out there on the open market that it feels like actually pulling these cards isn't that big of a hurdle, you will see what we have seen in Lorcana, where the secondary market of prices of boxes and singles has cratered for some sets. Like, even the second set of the game did not do that well in the secondary market. And I think, on one hand, again, I understand, accessibility is key to making any game really reach its target audience, right? You want to be able to have anybody who wants to play the game be able to play the game. But at the same time, you cannot risk damaging any potential perceived value your game might have for the long term, because that really disincentivizes people staying with your game and parking money in your game. And it also really hurts stores who might be interested in playing or holding or hosting your game over someone else's, especially if they think there's a potential loss of profits there, which there is when boxes are losing value basically overnight. And the easiest way to fix this is to just not have the massive printing decisions that Ravensburger has had for Lorcana. This is a relatively easy fix, in my opinion. But is that a fix that Ravensburger wants to implement? Just cutting back on production runs? I don't know. I couldn't say. It does seem that they are very keenly interested in keeping their game accessible and available to everybody, but does that really need to involve reprinting the first chapter again 2 years after its first release? I don't think the answer is yes. Especially when so few of them sell online anyway, because the big problem about the massive reprint waves and the massive availability of the boxes themselves is that there isn't that much demand for Lorcana post-initial release. Yes, there are still dedicated players. Yes, the community is doing really good. Tournaments have great turnouts from what I understand. There is a lot of genuine collectors out there. Like, who really will sink lots of money into this game. You guys don't understand. But at the same time, a lot of their desire for collecting is for maybe a full set, and they're done. They will buy enough boxes to crack open all the cards they want. Then they'll go buy the enchanteds that they missed out on when they were doing their mass crackings. And that's it. They're not going to order anymore. And there's only so many of those people out there who are the big whales, so to say. And there's kind of a cap on how many times you can reprint the same box over and over again and sell it to the same people. But I suppose there's really nothing I can do about that, right? All I can say is I think Lorcana, at the end of the day, I think Lorcana is a really good game with fantastic art direction. Really good art direction. I like how all the cards look. I think the core gameplay is good. And I think the community is very positive. Everyone I talked about Lorcana who actually plays the game is very positive on it. Very positive on it. Okay, so there's that. They like it. The game's fun. Good stuff. It's got gargoyles, so it's got my seal of approval. But there is definitely some perceived hurdles in the secondary market, which, you know, I'm not like a guru or anything. I'm not going to try and dictate how they should do their print runs or whatever. But maybe dial it back and just print to demand for the first wave and then just kind of let what's out there be out there. Who knows? I don't know what the solution is. Maybe you guys do. Let me know in the comments section below. That is the end of the video because I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Again, do you agree with what I think? Do you disagree with what I think? Do you think I look silly with a beard? Let me know. Check out the Discord. Check out the Patreon. That's all I got for you guys today, so I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.